six, six. Actually, extra 5 seconds. Hey guys, we are live. Welcome to this week's Hangout with my one and only Mr. Juan Bagnell. And I think I've got a name for the Hangout now.
Oh, what are we gonna call it? I mean, we kept it's like when you bring home a puppy or a child, and you're like, oh, we should name it Frank. I don't know if this child is a Frank. We should get to know this child for a while, and then we can find a good name for it. And then you just never get around to naming it. Is sort of what's happened to us.
Yeah. I'm just gonna call it the Weekly.
I like that.
Yeah.
It's simple. It's punchy. I think we can greenlight that show. Let's do that.
All right, it's now called the Weekly, guys. So the Hangout on Saturday, 11:30 a.m. is called the Weekly. So welcome to the inaugural episode of the Weekly here with Mr. Juan Bagnell. How's it going, man?
Hey man, West Coast represent. I'm tired. I'm exhausted, but I've got coffee, so we can totally do this.
Yes, and Sam will be joining as well as, of course, Warren will be
Fashionably late as
no,
always.
punctually late.
Punctually late. No,
Yes.
you can't use the adjective punctually.
I know.
You can use fashionably because I'm on the West Coast. That's an art, like if you're early or on time to an event, you're early. If you're late, you're fashionable.
Yeah. Lou Rod 76 says just for Juan's first comments.
Oh.
All right. Thank you, Lou Rod, for joining in. Thank you, everyone, for joining into the show. And there he is. Sam, how's it going, man?
And so Lou Rod dropped this Q&A post because I tweeted on was it yesterday or the day before that I've noticed that my videos are finally starting to gain enough traction that I'm getting people leaving the first comment, and that's never really happened to me before. So it's like I've arrived. I'm kind of a BFD now, so I don't know,
That's
guys.
right.
I'm gonna have to get an agent soon, I think.
First, I thought that ended like back.
Oh, God, no. First is
the
still
early,
there.
the teens of the 2000s. Like
No, First is there. I actually had somebody post that up. It's like, I know nobody cares, but this is the first time I'm posting first.
Wow.
I gotta say, like, it
people out of the
felt pretty
internet
good, guys.
with a
It
stick.
felt pretty good.
Hey, that's good stuff, man. Good stuff. So let's kick it off. We have our giveaways and stuff, but we'll announce all the giveaways at the end. We do have winners for this week. Thank you for those people who actually entered into the contest, and we have another contest again this week. So let's start off with the uselessness of the week. And this comes from our new CEO. We're beginning to like him. He was doing some good stuff. Microsoft was getting some good traction. I mean, Windows 10 actually has some good buzz out of the gate. And then he decided to go ahead and say what exactly?
He did the one thing that no man should ever do: comment on women's issues.
Well,
joking.
especially any man in a position of power, and I would say the CEO of Microsoft is in a position of great power. But Satya Nadella was tagged, and rightfully so, for saying that women shouldn't
Complain.
well, not complain, but that they shouldn't ask for raises, that they should trust in karma, and that the universe would the system would sort of reward their hard work and would notice, and that's the appropriate way. And especially because we're still talking about addressing wage disparity between men and women. When you normalize it for an industry like high technologies, I don't think it's as the disparity isn't as great as sort of the general men versus women wage gaps, but there are still issues to resolve there. And for the CEO of a company like Microsoft to have that comment come out is supremely disappointing. Is that the word I'm looking for? I don't know. I mean,
Let me put it
a really crappy way for him to address that issue.
I think they have a comment here. This is the exact comment he made. It's not about asking for the raise, but knowing and having faith that the system would actually give you the right raises as you go along. And that, I think, might be one of the additional superpowers that, quite frankly, women would who don't ask for a raise have, because that's good karma. It comes back because somebody's going to know that the kind of person that I want to trust, that's the kind of person I want to really give my responsibilities to. And in the long-term efficiency, things catch up. And I wonder, And I'm not saying that's the only approach. So yes, don't ask for a raise. The system would fix it.
Well,
Yeah.
and what you're
Okay.
quoting there, what you're quoting there was his sort of apology. So that's him addressing his comment. That wasn't even the comment that he
Oh
was
God.
like.
He seems to have a case of the foot and mouth.
Oh, big time. And again, this is one of those situations you don't try and explain yourself. I mean, this is like
let me jump in here and
don't try and explain yourself. You just apologize and you say you'll never do it again. You don't
let me jump in here
by
and
saying wage and karma. Let me explain to you why I said women should be. No one cares. No one.
No, I agree, but let me jump in and give you Nadal's perspective here, and the reason why he said that comment.
What?
And this. I'm going to take this
oh
from
God, we got Bowman.
I'm going to. Yeah, what's up, man?
The most important opinion in here.
Okay, let's move on. As we're saying.
Man, already talking about Nadal and the dumb comment that he made.
Yeah, it was
that was completely taken out of context. But
wait. We will get to you, Warren. We'll get to you, Warren. I'm going to give you, I think, his perspective where it comes from. And again, I don't think, like I said, it's one of the. He said it at a women's conference, right? Isn't that what he did?
Yes, I believe he did.
Yeah, which is number one, the wrong place to say that, right? That's the first thing. But I think this is where he got it from. Nadal is an Indian American. Nadal took the mentality, and I this is what I'm thinking. He took the mentality of the minority of I didn't ask, I worked my butt off, and I got it. He generalized in his mind, and he said women should probably think the same way too. If you stick your head to the ground, do your work, you'll get your raise. Which is something that most people from minority backgrounds can relate to as how their parents maybe or older generation thought about things. So that's where I'm thinking he got that mindset, not that he just doesn't like to give raises to women at all, But I'm just thinking that's where he got it from. But again, like I said, I agree with you guys. It's not right. It's funny. Joseph Hamilton says on the E thread lightly. I'm not saying that. I'm just saying that basically I think that's where he got it from. But again, it's still the wrong thing to say. I think you should just, like our friend Gary said. Gary said, look, if you're at a women's conference, you say, more power to all you women. You all should make more money than us. Let's keep moving with life. Done. And get out.
Well, and that's kind of what I'm talking about is where are the handlers on the CEO of Microsoft? Where are the PR people that are helping guide what he's going to go out there and do and say? And at some point, man, I mean, like if you're talking about like my grandparents' generation and their how they handled like race and gender relations, and that's a dinner room conversation that maybe can be a little cringe-tastic. That's one thing. We're talking about the CEO of Microsoft.
Exactly, and you should understand that he was talking in a very public forum. And you should also understand that different minorities have different needs and different approaches to getting what they need. I've been in situations, and not just me, but I know people who've been in situations that have been hired and they face wage inequality simply because of the fact that either they're younger, they're of a different race, and they're of a different gender. I have been in a situation where I actually dated someone who literally basically said, I know how much the person who works for me made, and basically they get paid more than they got paid more than she did. And that doesn't make sense, right? There is an argument for wage equality. However, when you go around and you start mentioning
to play devil's advocate to what you said, Sam, just to show the other side, did they factor in qualifications as to why one person is getting paid over the other?
It doesn't matter if somebody works under
your employee makes more than you do.
It doesn't make any sense.
You actually didn't even mention it as your employee. You just said
she said works for her. So
works for her.
Yeah, so his employee.
And she knows he made basically more than she did. So
you can't have an employee make more than anyone in.
You can't have someone make more than someone who signs their review. That makes no sense whatsoever, right? So wage inequality is there, and it's done in a way that sometimes might be very obvious and sometimes might not be as obvious as people think. But the fact still remains that, when it comes to women's issues, there is a whole nother way of looking at things, whereas they're actually doing the same amount of work and consistently they're not getting paid, basically for the same work that men would do equally, great. But to come out and say, hey, karma would fix things, just sounds a little naive. Sounds as though he's in a bubble that he hasn't experienced how other races have dealt with things of this nature. So just racially and also just gender specific, it sounds very, very
well,
very naive.
and I don't want to say, yeah, like, I think naive is the perfect word for it, because it sounds tone deaf and it sounds a little Marie Antoinette.
Yeah.
You know, it's sort of the corporate.
Well, they will.
And I don't think it's coming. I agree with E. I agree with you guys. I don't think it's coming from a position of malice, but it sounds completely detached from the reality of the situation that I think a number of people are trying to address in many industries.
Yep. Yep.
And this goes from and the sad thing about this that I think this news, there was some report last week that Microsoft 38% of their staff are women, showing that they have one of the high amount of females in tech, you know, and his statement just kind of like counteracts that altogether, you know, that this is a company that has a lot of women, so to speak, you know, and and then he just comes out and says, well, if you have good luck, something will come back to you.
If he had even taken that word karma out of it and said something like, you know, the quality of your work is what we at Microsoft, you know, kind of compensate. That is like, oh my God, he's saying that they'll pay us as per the quality of our work. There can be an argument about that, but it's not karma.
Yeah,
it's not some big religious term out there. You know, it's man. He kind of put his foot in it. He really did. But whatever.
Yeah, that's.
Right. Moving right along.
Yes, that's right. So that was Satya Nadal.
Jeez.
What do you say?
Can I get an opinion on something?
Go for it, brother. Go for it.
Oh, I'm sorry. I thought that was you playing devil's advocate. You're always like be an instigator and.
No, you're the instigator. No. What he said was, I read it and I was just kind of like, oh boy, this is going to get taken out of context really fast. And you know, the arguments of when I was saying the social justice police is going to come out and rant and rave about this. They say, yeah, because what he said, if you read it exactly and if it was just read, doesn't come off as monogamous or anything like that. But there is a right where you're saying it does sound like he's living in a bubble and not maybe not understanding those type of things. But at the same time, I mean, he just said something that
shouldn't have been said.
Shouldn't have been said. I mean, even if it was not what he meant, in which he didn't at all. If you read the thing, it didn't at all in context. But we do live in a society where if they could take one little thing or anything.
But in context it does. I have to issue in context.
No, it's definitely not.
Because when you remember, like just like what Sam said, if you take the word karma out and you replace it with what Microsoft is looking for, that's the context that will actually make it sound better. Saying that Microsoft is looking for hard workers.
Would have jumped on this regardless of the word karma. The word karma means absolutely nothing.
Because basically all these
anything else.
No. If he had said just like Sam said, if he had said that in Microsoft we don't care about that, what we care about is your work, right? That just implies that it doesn't matter who you are, green, black, blue, female, male, you know, whatever the case may be. You work hard, we pay you. Done. That's it. That's all. But basically, he was trying to imply that, and also trying to imply that good luck comes to you around the same time. Yeah. And it just is a matter of that he put both things in his mouth at the same time, took 2 feet, and that's it. You know, he didn't actually just stop to think about, okay, where am I and why? It's not even just the social police. Also, let's be frank, his handlers himself didn't think properly of, you're at a women's conference, and you're talking about wage equality. You shouldn't just necessarily go around and just throw stuff out there. You have to think, okay, you have to think environment, where I am, you know, that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
It's just, and you can go out there, and I would be surprised if in this tech space with a company like Microsoft that the wage disparity when normalized for similar jobs is is anywhere near the sort of gender rate. You know, like if Microsoft is 10% off, that's a talking point that they can say, hey, and we're working to address this, and we're trying to show that, you know, people doing similar jobs should get paid the same, and as compared to the 70%, you know, for the on the dollar for every dollar a man makes, 70 cents for every dollar a man makes, here at Microsoft it's more like 90. That could have been a positive and empowering way to address the situation, and instead he got bogged down in this one myopic point of his personal beliefs, which don't put bread on other people's tables.
That is true.
And he did say something that what I think he said that got blown out of context is that the system works. Now,
the system works.
No, realistically, if you remove if in an ideal world, the system would work. That's true. It would be, hey, you get rewarded for the hard work that you put into your job. You get recognized for the hard work that you put in. Those hours, they count. Things like that really does happen. I've seen it happen in my personal life. I've seen it happen in other people's lives. But when you start factoring stuff like gender and race inequality into things, the system doesn't function as it should.
But the tough part is it's hard for him to see that when he is a minority leading a majority company and the system worked for him. So
exactly.
His viewpoint is a lot different on that matter. He sees things in one way where there is a lot of people that don't see it absolutely that way.
And that's
and that's true. But what he's saying is exactly what my uncle told me when I first came to the U.S. He said, "Look, you know what? You work hard. Doesn't matter whether you're black or white. Somebody hates you. In America, somebody will pay you because you were good," and that's very true. But the problem here is that that's a one-on-one conversation. That's something I would tell my son, my cousin. I'm telling a group of people, right? Not everybody falls into that category. Not everybody does.
It's not something that belongs in, unfortunately, it's not in social narrative that idea, because you try to bring that idea up, people will find 50 million reasons why that idea doesn't work.
True.
Even though we see plenty of proof that ideal can work, and he's a real big reason of that working, and our president's another big reason of that working, and many other people are a example of that working, but since it's so few and far between, it seems very unattainable, so it's much easier to just kind of poo-poo on it than anything else.
Yeah, no, that's great. But you know what? Hey, they'll figure it out at Microsoft, so let's get this going. What's next on the agenda?
Next up, Nexus 9 rumors.
Rumors, those are my favorite things, because then we get to talk about things that don't actually exist when I've got a table full of technology that I still haven't finished reviewing yet. Yay!
All right, somebody just had a lot of sugar this morning.
The
No,
6
I'm
isn't
so
out.
tired.
But where's the
I
8?
could go back to bed right now, and I have a cup of
What did you say, Sam?
They're missing a number. Huh. What happened to the 8? The Nexus 8.
Oh, you
Stop. So the Nexus 9.
I think they should have just jumped directly to the Nexus 10.
No, there's already Nexus 10.
There's already 10. That's what I'm saying. they've got a 5. 6 is about to come out. They have a 7.
Well, this is also the problem when we're
about to
sort
come
of
out.
like naming consecutive phones and then piggybacking that on the screen sizes. 'Cause
Yep.
you get into this like, is it the Nexus 5 II? What is it that we're calling this?
It's the Nexus 7's FHD.
Ooh.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Okay.
That was the most recent Nexus 7, right?
So yeah,
Or
the
HD.
Nexus 9 rumors. Looking at some of its specs are the new Tegra K1 processor, 2 gigs of RAM, 8.9 inches, 16 gigabytes. It's 9 inches, basically, as a device. And the word that it's coming October 15th, which is Wednesday, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, Wednesday.
Seriously?
Yeah. It should be hitting soon. I mean, you don't want to release it in November, second week of November. That's pushing it too close.
And they haven't been paying attention to it. That's the
Yeah.
problem.
So, do you think Google should? My thoughts is, why make it? I would rather them refresh the Nexus 7 and made it better than do a 9-inch Nexus tablet. Just from the pictures.
I mean, like one of my favorite all-time Samsung tablets was the 8.9. I really liked the form factor on that.
This one looks like I don't know. It looks a little wider though.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. I mean,
Let me,
if it's
let
not
me share
16
my
by
screen.
9, that'll make me super cranky. I'm not on board. Little consumer tablets that aren't 16 by 9.
So that's it right there. Can you see it?
Yeah. But if they follow the whole new, should I say, what seems to be the status quo when it comes to design, which is less bezel with a increase in the overall size.
You mean the
I can see this
non-Apple
working.
approach?
Yeah, true. But
Wow.
if they have a huge bezel on this thing and it's making the device a lot larger, I don't know. It seems as though they're trying to go into that Apple territory when the 7-inch was actually pretty nice and was really functional, and Apple was actually moving away from that big form factor tablets to a smaller kind of tablet with the
But
iPad.
Apple is moving back. Right, next rumor.
Yeah.
But anyway,
Ooh. We're all rumor-tastic today.
I like
Yeah,
rumors. I
yeah.
like rumors.
So I mean, any thoughts, Warren? What do you think? Or you just like, meh, whatever, tablets?
Just another tablet. I mean,
All right,
who's gonna
so
care? It's probably gonna be too expensive, and we'll just
yeah,
move on about our
$399
lives.
is $399.
$399, I think, is. I'm curious to see how Tegra performs. Has anyone ever played with an NVIDIA chipset with LTE? It's like the Shield and what?
new
the
tablet.
Surface 2?
Yeah.
Are the
So,
only ones?
A couple. An HTC One came out. One X came out with an NVIDIA and an LTE.
Oh, I mean with like the newer chipsets, like
the
moving
new,
like
new
Tegra
the
4
new
newer.
NVIDIA tablet does have
LTE, right?
yeah, that's the one. I mean, a lot of people have praised it. Just from generally, people are like, finally, like NVIDIA's got it right. Like it took them a couple of iterations to eventually get it there. In terms of performance, battery life, and also LTE. So,
Gotcha.
it's gotten good praise. This last chipset they just released. So, we'll see how that works out with them. But yeah, so it's $399. Nexus fans would be excited. I would have been happy with a Nexus 7 refresh, just because that was a nice, segment for it, and also the price point was pretty good too. So a refresh of the Nexus 7 would have been
and
something where I've
especially-
been fine with.
I wonder if we're going to start seeing more companies sort of begging off maybe the smaller 7 and 8-inch tablets if these $200 Windows tablets start taking off, because it's a hard sell because my wife got the little Toshiba, was the Encore. I think it's an 8-inch tablet.
Yeah, it's
and
an
it
8-inch.
was we got it on special, but I mean it retails for under $200, so it's a tough sell to drop a high quality ARM tablet against some of these low cost entry level netbooky tablets. So you can either have something that's only Android or something that can do all of the little Windows apps, or can run full versions of regular software if you wanted to. And she flipped out. She's got a little Bluetooth keyboard for it. She's got a flip-up stand case for it. And instead of getting a laptop, she's totally jamming on this little Windows tablet.
No, that makes a very good point. Kind of like with Lenovo's announcements this week with their whole Yoga line, is that they announced the Yoga 2 tablet Android, and they announced the Yoga 2 tablet Windows, and then they announced the Yoga 2 tablet Pro. It almost felt like they had to bring in another Android to make it look, like this. They still do more on the Android side, because on the Windows side they have an 8-inch Windows tablet at $249, and then they have one at $299. Sorry, $349. That comes with a keyboard that you can buy, and it's running the base row processor. The battery life is 15 hours, because those Yogas have like long ass battery lives. The Yoga tablets, 15-hour battery life on the Windows, 18-hour battery life on Android. And as a consumer, if I'm going to take a tablet with long battery life that I can actually do some stuff with, more than just viewing content, but still view content, that might be a good solution. And especially with Windows 10 around the corner, where it becomes more socially acceptable to use Windows tablets. Let's call it that. But that's better. I just call it socially acceptable.
I think we're moving to that point, like you just mentioned. We're moving to a point where creation and consumption is happening on really smaller devices, no longer your laptop or your desktop. You can even create content given some of the apps out there on your iPad or your Nexus 7. So when you start talking like notebooks, and you want to get to the best ratio of creation/consumption, Windows seems to have it, right? And if you're going to be creating devices that are 7-inch, how useful would those 7 inches be compared to a 9-inch? So I can see why it's moving to a 9-inch, but then the question is how much are they changing Android to make it as functional as a Windows?
But that's the thing, because like I said, with the Lenovo, they introduced a 13-inch Yoga tablet. it looks like a great piece, lovely display at 2K, a 2K resolution display.
We
But
should
in my
just go
mind,
on to talk about the Lenovo announcement.
yeah,
'Cause-
which we are now.
Which we kind of segued into.
I mean, but like instead of trying to like keep tacking it back to the this Nexus, and especially for folks out there who are considering the Nexus tablet, drop us some comments because I'd really be curious what your thoughts are as this tablet space has got more competitive.
That makes a
And
lot
we're
of sense.
seeing more of these hybrid devices. I mean, I think you all get a pretty clear sense of what we think right now. So
No, I mean, but that's a very good point. Think about it, right? If I'm paying $399 for a Nexus 9, right, it's gonna still have 10-hour battery life. What should I choose? A Lenovo Yoga tablet with 18-hour battery life, right, the Android version, or should I go to the Windows version, which is still roughly around the same price range, with a 15-hour battery life and 10 inches with a keyboard? Like it then becomes really makes that Nexus look like, okay, why are you making it?
Yeah, and no, but I think that the more important question here is how useful are we going to have these mobile operating systems become? Because Android is changing, iOS is changing, but Microsoft seems to have come into the market, and what we thought was kind of like almost like a porting of its operating system, it's beginning to actually make sense now. That okay, we now have a system. We now have tablets that can perform like I said with the Pro 3. It's a tablet that can replace your laptop, right? What other tablets out there can do that? And what is your strategy to move to doing that? Because like you mentioned, and Juan, your wife now has this tablet that she's using like a de facto, laptop, right? You could do that. You could buy the case for an iOS device and do that. You can buy the case for a Nexus 7 and do that. But right out the box, right? If I took any of those devices and said I wanted to use this as a laptop replacement, that does not work. So moving to 9-inch might just be like, sorry to go back, but moving to 9-inch might just be, the next step in trying to get Android, at least screen size wise, to be functional both for creativity and media consumption. And iOS, or should I say Apple, going to a larger screen, or maybe saying continuing to make that larger iPad might just be their answer to this as well. So it's really interesting to see now that everyone's moving to that around 9-inch, what's going to happen in the productivity/consumption space when it comes to tablets.
I mean, yes and no, but screen size doesn't mean productivity. It just means bigger screen. That's it.
Well, but I mean, I think what you're saying is like if you have the hardware there, and sorry if I'm putting words in your mouth, Sam, but if you have the hardware there first, you can start to address things like split screening apps. It's a feature that we love on Samsung phones, and Windows 8 does it phenomenally well on touchscreen devices versus sort of stock Android. So that's something that they need to address. It's something that I'm shocked that Apple hasn't addressed in iOS yet, because it the second you do it, and especially on Windows 8, where you can like you can slide, how big one app is over the other, and you can dock something really, really thin. Like I love having my Twitter client up in just a tiny little strip, and then having like a web browser up so that I can kind of keep track of stuff and multitask. You can't really multitask, but you know what I mean. So if Android L starts to address some of those issues, and we've been seeing a little bit more of that crossover with Chrome now being able to run Android apps, if they can build out the ecosystem which will allow for developers to create more productivity, and they've got the hardware as a reference design, because the Nexus is still more of a developer reference design. This isn't going to outsell. I don't even think the Nexus is going to outsell the NVIDIA Shield. I mean, it just hasn't proven to be the marketing hasn't been there.
Well, the Nexus 7 did very well, though.
Nexus 7 did phenomenally well.
But I don't think the Nexus 9 will.
But I don't think Google positions their gear to upset the market. Yeah. They don't advertise it to unseat the companies that are building this stuff out, because they don't want to piss off companies like Samsung. You can kind of use the Nexus to kind of give companies a little bit of a push or a little bit of a nudge, like they did with the original Nexus. But you don't want to completely run away with the market, because then who's going to be your manufacturing partners? Microsoft is feeling some of the stings of that now, because Samsung is claiming that with them buying out Nokia, that they shouldn't have to pay for licensing deals anymore. So you can see how spiky these companies can get when you push too far too fast. So I still think while the Nexus 9 is probably going to sell really well, and especially in the communities of people that watch our stuff because they're super tech savvy, this isn't going to be a tablet that's advertised as aggressively as a Samsung Galaxy tablet will be.
Yeah, true.
How about you, Warren, in the whole Nexus 9 Yoga tablet discussion?
I mean, unless it's Windows, it's not going to have a chance of being a productive tablet. I mean, at the end of the day, we're moving towards hybrid devices. That's just what it is. The tablet and laptop will be one and the same thing. We won't be sitting there talking about one or the other. It's just both. So I think they're still making tablets in the Android series because Android is still popular, and it's still the mindset of as an alternative to an iPad or an Apple tablet.
Mm-hmm.
But the more popular Windows gets, the more we start to see more Windows tablets come out. We're going to see more and more people, and especially when the price range drops down, you're going to see more and more people gravitating towards that, and I think that's when you're going to start seeing a lot less of the probably Android tablets out there. A lot of manufacturers making a lot less than what they were making before. Because the big thing is we just got to wait for Samsung to make one of these. And when Samsung makes one of these with all the effort they put in the Galaxy Tab S and that runs Windows instead of Android, it's a wrap.
Yeah, no, that's true.
It's another wrap.
It's funny you mentioned that because looking at the so I put up the videos of the Lenovo Windows version, and a couple of people were like, "Oh, is there a stylus for it?" Like they kind of wished that. And I was looking at it, and I was like, "Yeah, you're right." Warren, you throw in basically it's part of the Galaxy Note line. If you make that like the Windows Galaxy Note line with the stylus there, and that whole idea that Samsung already has.
Samsung, before you listen to this, you'll have to pay us some form.
Yes, please. How about you just cut a check 4 ways?
They probably have this in their lab the next version of the Alpha or 3 version of the Mega and whatever else the hell they're gonna decide to make. It's probably sitting over there.
And I think a lot of people would gravitate to that, and especially if you make it the Note line, you make it extended as that line on the Windows side, then it becomes your Galaxy Note is more powerful and does so much more. Altogether, maybe that might be something maybe released for Windows 10 because it just runs Windows 10 anyway. At that point, it's not like.
I don't know from a mobile platform perspective that they can make that work. I think Android is going to be better suited for them in a mobile sense of that. But when we're talking about productivity in a sense of a tablet where we're sitting down and creating or consuming content, we're not on the go with things. I think that Windows is going to be a little bit better a viable option for that type of Note thing. But for them to literally try to make the Note like a Galaxy Note,
because you know that anything on the 9 inches is, it's still Windows. Anything on the 9 inches on Windows 10 is just in tablet format, which is just basically detaching the keyboard. That's how this operating system now runs.
No. On the Note line of things, but we're talking about them busting into trying to move this into the smaller notes like the Galaxy Note 4s and all the stuff like that. I don't think that's going to work in the same sense. But if you look at the Note 8 and the Note 12.2, those type of devices, then I think Windows is going to be a lot more better suited for people. It's also at a higher price range, which when you expect them to pay that much for something, you really want to get more out of it. So I really think you could see a difference in those Galaxy Notes and those premium tablets selling if they ran Windows, because if you're looking at $499 for an Android tablet, it's looking at the same thing as $499 for an iPad. But if you look at $499 for a Windows machine, immediately people go computer, and now you have a direct competitor to both of them, and it's like, oh, this is a computer, and I can do all these things, and I can come to work with me, and I can get any apps that I need. But I don't even need that. I could just run the full version of something. I'm already going to use a Bluetooth keyboard or something else to pair with this thing. So, but I have the full power of Windows, so I have zero compromises to make.
Yeah, that's true.
But that's something that probably won't be seen really popular until Windows 10 comes out next year. And Microsoft does what they need to do to make Windows 10 popular, because a lot of these companies, I think, didn't do that this go around simply because of the narrative that's against Windows 8 right now.
Well, I mean, I think we'll see changes with that. Like, hey, just going back to Lenovo's line, one of the things that I really liked from what they released was the Yoga 3 Pro. Man,
Yeah.
whew, whew.
Mm,
I'm just gonna
Yoga.
say that, yes, that is. You know what? I have to give, because this is gonna piggyback to our next discussion about a company who is just going down the toilet.
Nah.
But it seems like Lenovo understands, or at least they've done some work in understanding what consumers want. Like, we talked about how, okay, they released the Yoga tablet, then they're like, well, why don't we throw Windows on it, right? And people see, they're like, oh, snap! I now have a computer for $300-400 that's so light I can throw into my backpack or in my suit pocket if it fits on the 8-inch version, and I'm good.
And
And
then
and
why
then
not more projector?
exactly, and, and then you now have the Yoga 3 Pro, which is, I kid you not, guys, it's as thin as the Surface Pro 3. And it's running, the new Intel M70 processors, a fanless chipset in
It
there.
looks thinner than the Surface Pro 3.
And some
That's
some
about as
parts,
thin,
some
yeah.
parts it is, but just as a whole, I just call it
It's
thin.
beautiful.
And the new hinge design, the six hinge design, is, oh my God, man! I'm like literally
I'm a devout I'm a devout fan of the Carbon line, so I will not say anything that says that any other line of Lenovo PC is better than my Carbon X1 line. But this thing is
Yoga
nice.
better. Deal
This
with
is
it.
nice. Hey.
Yoga Pro better.
no, but
No, but
seriously,
this thing is nice. This thing is nice.
it is nice, and that's one of the things that I actually I want to commend in a sense, because at least for a consumer perspective, they've almost thought, okay, we have to do certain things to make it better, finer, faster. And one of the coolest things on that device is most any ultrabook that thin usually has one or two USB ports. That's it.
Mhm.
This has three, and the third USB port is the power port. They just literally just changed the power port into a USB port at the same time. And I'm going, those are the kind of little sensibilities I like to see. Like, you're making things for consumers where you're trying to put more into a small package so that people can actually use these devices left and right. So, in terms of performance and all that stuff, we don't know yet, but from what I've seen, I think it's a good step, and the price range for that is the same. Starts at like 1,000.
It's about 1550 right now for the highest version of it.
And this one is only going to come in one SKU because there's only one chipset of the M70 right now from Intel. So I think it's like 1,200 or 12.
Well, no, there's a 256. There's a
Oh, sorry,
256 and a 512.
512. Yes,
512 has a little bit more
storage. There's just more storage.
storage in it. But everything's also soldered on, so you have to be aware of that as well too.
But yeah, so to me that's the thing. And then, like, moving on to our next company, since we just kind of merging everything together, is
Hold on one second. I just want to. You can go ahead and talk. I was just going to get the information.
Okay, so once you have a company like Lenovo who is looking at consumer behavior and pattern and making products that each time consumers see it, they go, wow. Like the Yoga tablets all have the hang mode now. It may sound silly, but I actually want to hang one of those in a room.
Do not hang it on your neck. People will laugh at you. People will laugh at you, and I would join them.
But think about it, right? You have a tablet you can just hang it in your kitchen and whatever the case may be. And then you now think about our next company, HP, who is completely lost, and they're going to split into two divisions.
Before we jump into that, the difference is. Now, this is important, I think, for people that are probably looking at this as something they might want to buy as a next, like, Ultrabook. The difference is that the one that's about $200 more has Windows 8.1 Pro, and it comes with a 512 SSD. Windows 8.1 that's pretty interesting, especially if you want to run.
So what's the base price?
The base price is $1349.
$1349. Okay.
Wow.
All right. So they have.
And I'm just really, really surprised at how quickly Lenovo was able to get that Intel Core M into a consumer-driven line. Because you guys have played with the what is their tablet ThinkPad, the Horizon?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Is that, no, not the Horizon. What's the one that docks into a keyboard?
The Horizon, I think. Oh no, it's not a Horizon.
No. Oh shoot.
Shoot.
Helix.
Helix.
Because you expect that from the company with the Helix line, which is focused more on like business professionals and that kind of industry. But then for them to flip it as quickly as they have, because how many other consumer grade laptops are using Core M right now.
I think
It
they're
can't
the
be many.
I think
The first ones.
they're the first one because this was supposed to come out last year and it didn't. So
The first time I saw it was at PepCom 2 months ago. Intel had a reference design, and their reference design
Right.
was thinner than an iPad Air, and the only part that was thick was the USB ports. And they were like, and I asked them like how powerful this is. Like it's an i5, but it's more powerful than your current i5. I'm like, you sure, man? Because there's no fans in this bad boy. In case I want to run some software that might blow shit up. He's like, no, it's fine. So and he was like, yeah, we will have one or two companies,
I imagine the way they control that is I'm pretty sure this thing, like the process is locked down. It probably has a lot of regulators inside of it, so it only goes at a certain speed at a certain time, and probably doesn't, or it won't. It's gonna get to a certain temperature and go, shoo.
We all know that. You all know that Sam was going to try and break it doing some gaming videos or something like that. Because that's all he likes to do, just break shit.
Hey, it's not about always trying to break stuff, but if it ain't broke, then try again.
Wow.
That's what HP's motto is.
Exactly. So going back to HP is splitting. Now, I mean, the company into the enterprise and consumer division. So your thoughts, guys? I mean,
rarely does this ever actually work out for any of the companies.
No,
it turns into it's going to be easier for one of them to get bought up by somebody bigger.
And I think that's the point.
That's the main reason. And they've even said it was because that they had difficulty selling off divisions that were underperforming. Yeah. This is like the most cynical cash grab that HP could have made after dumping Hewlett-Packard. I mean, like it's so on the nose. It's so obvious what it is that they're trying to do.
I just remember these were the same pundits that were arguing for Microsoft to spin off the Xbox division. This is the reason why they were trying to get them to do that. This type of stuff. It's basically they want to get bought out. Let's split it off into little different pieces because BlackBerry refused to do this one, and then
Yeah, but for a company like HP, it's a long time coming, really. They haven't really innovated in what used to be their space. They're still number 2 worldwide. They're still number 2, but
got the default position.
Exactly. It's like it's number 2 by default, and Apple is eating basically PC lunches all over the place. They're basically now in the top 5 according to some of the what's it called?
I wonder if that includes iOS devices.
No, that includes iOS.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure
it's not. No, because it's the calculation now is not necessarily PC hardware. They're all considered computers. iPads are considered.
Oh, now it is.
Hey, but what does Apple make that no one else on that top 5 list make? And I can't think of anything. So I would say, hey, if you're counting tablets and whatnot, then count tablets and whatnot for everyone, okay? Yeah. So at the end of the day, it's like, HP, what are you doing? You're stuck at number 2. Are you going to move up? Are you going to move down? The chances are you're going to keep.
They're going down.
Following the news on this type of a move, I don't know if I were running a major corporation if that would give me any incentive to continue doing business with.
Take the severance package.
I know that stuff takes a long time to filter through, especially having worked on government contracts. But I would be. Actually, in my job, I probably would have been one of the people that would have started crunching numbers on what it would take to start moving over to another line of computers and how long that would have taken.
Oh, everybody's already done that. When I say everybody's already done that, everybody already did that like 5 years ago.
Well, and the only reason why you might not be able to land Lenovo is because of their Chinese construction. If you're talking government contracts.
Yeah.
Dell and Lenovo
rule the corporate world right now.
No tomorrow.
However, when it comes to printers,
HP's king. Like there's no. Oh my God.
Let me put it this way: I have never ever in my life bought a HP computer, but I have always bought HP printers.
I've never been a bigger fan of I think their consumer line is a little but their business line, the small business line, and this line, office line, nobody can touch that. They are the kings of printing. I mean, absolute kings of that, and I understand why they want to spin that off because I think the remnants at the end of the day, the remnants of HP is just going to be printers. That's like the one branding that's going to change. Because I'm pretty sure once they're spinning off the PC division, the consumer devices, we can already assume that somebody's going to buy that up. I don't know who, but somebody will eventually buy that up.
It's probably a hedge fund might jump in and buy that.
Maybe,
No, there's no.
There's not a lot of profit in it right now for them. There's
No, I mean, well, there's not a lot of profit, but it all depends on how you remember. I've seen their facilities and how they do stuff with that. If you come in and you wipe it out and you make it a very flat linear system, then you can make changes in HP because consumers want product and the reason why HP is big internationally is because of their brand name. I mean, they still hold a strong brand name. It's like, all my relatives back in Nigeria, I want to buy them a laptop, they like HP. I'm like, no, I'll get you a Lenovo. No, HP. I mean, that's just it. So you still have brand recognition out there. It's now just revamping the company to at least
and especially as their hardware division is keeping this HP name, and the new business's solution is going to what? It's like Hewlett-Packard Enterprise or something like that. So, I mean, most people wouldn't be able to tell you what HP stands for, but they know HP makes computers. So I want that HP. So whoever can run in there and buy up that name, I think you've got a powerful IP. It's just they haven't been the most inspired. You've got to gut it, and you've got to do something radical with that brand. And I don't know who has the capital to both buy and then completely from the ground up rebuild. So that, I think, will be an interesting thing to see. If someone buys it and then tries to kind of operate it as business as usual, that's a horrible investment.
No, it's something that they're gonna have to do what Lenovo did when they bought IBM's PC division and completely revamped the thing and change it around. While keeping the brand name of ThinkPad around, they completely did it. They completely changed the internal process of how everything went, and now you see them on the other end. It took a long time to get there, but you're going to have to get there to do that. This is the same thing that's going to honestly have to happen whoever buys the HP brand.
No, but exactly the same thing. And what kept Lenovo alive was they had the name ThinkPad, right? It kept them
allowed to keep the name ThinkPad.
Right, exactly. So whoever buys them has to do something similar to just say, okay, look, you know what? We're going to release fewer products, set a certain baseline. Now this is where you now buy the company. You go to Microsoft and say, okay, we want to push Windows 10. Like this, you really have to do business deals like I say. Look, we want to be one of those people that help you push the product out, so that then we become that first tie-in. When you're one of the first people for something like Windows 10 coming out, that at least brings at a cheaper price point. That at least brings something out there. And then once a year, you release one premium product to showcase your technical skills and productivity. And eventually you see HP, at least that division, come back to a level of prominence. It's never going to be number one, but at least
the question is, when it came to basically Lenovo, or should I say Lenovo and IBM, we had the ThinkPad and the IdeaPads, right? Now, what does HP have that kind of engenders that same kind of loyalty? So I don't think
it's always been it's been there. It's been the HP branding, and it's also been, when they used to use it, the Compaq branding as well too. People knew,
but it's the company name. So unless those people are buying and keeping that company name,
no, they are keeping.
They're gonna keep it.
You don't pay that much for a company, and then
you keep the name. That's why one is going to HP, one is going to Hewlett.
I mean, we're not talking Microsoft foolishness with getting rid of the Nokia branding.
Thank you.
Not that. It's not that.
We're not gonna go. We're not. Yeah, let's not talk about that.
Yeah, so, but for this to work out well, there's definitely gonna have to be somebody that wants to spend 5 years rebuilding this brand before it gets to a certain back to a prominent level to be able to compete against Lenovo's of the world. And realistically, the only company I guess there's 5 of them, but the only company I really see that competes against them on a consumer mind share right now is Apple. I don't see anybody else really competing against Lenovo. There's you have the Asus's and the Acers of the world, but
they're familiar with Dell as well.
And Dell,
but Dell is going through a restructuring right now.
Dell's in the middle of what they're in the middle of a rebranding as well too. We should hear from them probably next year.
Yeah, Windows 10 is when Dell is.
Dell sort of come out here, and they'll have.
And exactly what you guys were saying with them reaching out to Microsoft is Microsoft fronted a lot of their cash so that they could go private again. I would hope that Windows 10 is going to bring a closer relationship.
Microsoft owns now 10% of Dell, I think.
Yeah.
Is it 10%? I didn't know how much of that. What was it that they paid to go private? Was it like $25 billion or something like that?
Was it 25? Okay, they give them a lot of cash. I know.
Yeah. Right, I know. I didn't know that it was as high as 10%.
Yeah, but like it's right now. But see, Dell Dell was in a much more comfortable position because even though they had problems in the consumer level of things, they still had a solid business division. And realistically, if the workstation, a laptop isn't a Dell, it's a Lenovo. It's like one or the other really in that space. So and they do well in servers as well too. Speaking of that, that's another thing that Lenovo just purchased, I think, from IBM was their server division as well too. Is something now that they own as well. So that's going to be interesting to see how they compete in that space, and especially with what's going on in there. But that's more the IT techie business.
Yeah, I think Lenovo is going to become IBM. Just put it that way.
They basically are, but they basically are. But it's going to be interesting from speaking of the Yoga announcement to see Lenovo's announcements to see what they do with that in the Blade servers and see if they can get back in to the server market, especially with a market that a lot of people are not doing servers or hosting in the cloud or doing some other type of infrastructure. So it's going to be interesting to see how they spin that.
Yeah. Well, I mean, with the server market, you can still do it in terms of, I mean, everything. Look,
another place where HP did well, by the way. Another place where HP did well. Sorry, I didn't even interrupt. But another place that HP did well was servers as well too.
Yeah, their server business was good. I mean, but the thing about servers is basically that's your cloud. So it's just how you spin it business-wise for companies to actually adapt and push into it. But I mean, hopefully we'll see what happens. Because I remember I was watching analysts and they were saying, some analysts was like, well, the HP split is similar to eBay and PayPal. I'm like, no. I mean, PayPal actually wants to go free because PayPal is doing so well. That's a division.
If you use both of those, if you use both of those together, you would learn that they're very disjointed. It's very.
That was a sucky merger from the get-go. That was never.
Well, the reason why it's disjointed is because eBay hasn't changed its model. They haven't how like Amazon has continued to polish its brand of business as it moves forward. PayPal has, because PayPal now has become a very nice tool where if you don't want to have your information out there or your banking stuff, PayPal's your nice go-between, and it works just as fast, right? Rather than and eBay itself, it just feels very disjointed marriage. So, and with mobile payments, on the rise and things like that, PayPal really wants to capitalize on that and being that next factor in there. So being tied with eBay, basically cut them off from revenue from Amazon, for instance. They could not get any revenue from there unless the person had a PayPal debit card.
It's funny that didn't Amazon recently stop their payment system?
Huh?
Didn't Amazon recently stop their payment system, or what they were their PayPal competitor?
No, it's still there.
I think they talked about that.
No, it's still there. It's still.
Hold on, you guys continue. Let me look that up.
But so I mean I think we just hope to see what HP does overall, but I don't know. I think that's.
But I also thought it interesting that after Meg sort of kept the company together following Leo getting bumped, that she's actually going to be moving over with the business enterprise side.
I consider Meg a terrible CEO. I mean, I'm sorry, all of them have been. It was Meg? Who was the other lady?
HP has had a really bad run of
They've had terrible CEOs, just bad.
I think it's more of a terrible board than that basically handicaps its CEOs and rather.
Yeah, actually, no, that's more fair because I think we haven't seen any CEO really be able to buck the trends that the board is sort of responsible for.
I guess so.
I would totally agree with that. I'll be fair to Meg Whitman.
Is because everything I've seen from HP has been a continuation of the same thing, and that's why, like, I did the tour of their facilities in June, and as cool as these people were and as hardworking as they are, and some of the innovations that they had in mind, the products that they eventually produced, the environment that it was depressing.
Very homogenized.
And very depressing. I was like, this is a tech company? This looks like something from The Office. The movie. I was like, wow. And then I go to Motorola. In my mind, I'm going through Motorola's facility. I'm going, oh, Lenovo's gonna love this buy, because you could see the linear approach that Motorola has like cut everything out and said we need to be fast and responsive and get things out, which is why they're so proud about being the only guys who can drop Android L faster than anybody else when it comes out. Yeah. They're like, it's gonna hit before anybody even knows it from us. So that's the kind of thing that a tech company needs to be responsive, not reactive. and HP has become a very reactive company. So, it's just sad to see. But we have one question here from Extreme 18. What do you guys think about the Nexus 6?
It's gonna be extreme.
Extremely awesome. Actually, Nexus 6, I think it's like all the other Nexus, right? Is going to be a very nice showcase of what Android L can do, and basically what Google's translation of the phone operating system basically will be. But I don't think it's going to be, leaps and bounds ahead of anything else. I really
No,
don't.
I'm more disappointed with this Nexus 6 because it's a 6-inch device, and it's not that I don't like my phablets. I love my big phones, but I just don't want this one to be a phablet. I actually don't. I wish it was 5.5 maybe. LG G3 type size range, and it's not going to showcase anything more than it can do. So I'm just wondering, like, is the QHD display? You've got 805 processor in there. There's nothing special. It's not like there's anything software-wise that requires that 6-inch screen.
But then also it's the same thing as we've talked about with other devices too. I mean, like the Nexus 6 isn't designed to unseat competitors. It's designed to kind of continue driving a discussion on what Android hardware should look like, and they're going to push the boundaries on some things. And also, this is the first play from Google where they're acknowledging the popularity of phablets, and that's about it. I mean, it's going to be a lot like when we kind of panned the OnePlus. I mean, the OnePlus is an amazing phone, but its most popular feature is that it's cheap. And I kind of feel like the Nexus line falls into the same trap. Its most popular feature with consumers is that it's cheap. Outside of that, Nexus devices are still built around the idea of being developer phones.
No, I agree with you, right? But I wish that if it was 6 inches, and this is Google saying, okay, phablets are popular. Here's something Android L that makes that 6-inch awesome. That's what I want to see. And it's not going to be there.
And I mean, we still keep hearing those waffling moves of them actually building in proper support for split screening apps. I think that's a killer app for a larger screen device. Yeah. But I also think on Android L they're just working on kind of getting out the streamline the material design, and then also and this is me personally because I'm an audio guy. Is the fingers crossed that they do actually deliver on USB audio, because I'm tired of plugging in my phone to charge in my car and then have it show up as USB device unknown and shutting off my Bluetooth. So that would be nice if they could address that, because I don't have that problem with the iPhone.
No, I agree. So I mean, for me, I want to see some functionality to the size, even if it's one or two applications that Android L has baked into it. That would be cool. I go, okay, all right, that makes sense. Now it's built in, so some of these Chinese manufacturers and other people who make phablets don't have to go the Samsung route, where Samsung has to do everything to make that Galaxy Note look awesome and feel awesome, in terms of user functionality. So, Extreme 18. We'll see it when we see it. It might also announce it on October 15th. Who knows? We have no idea when it's going to be announced, but word is that this is also going to be, instead of it being a 200, 250 device, it might be 300, 350 for the Nexus 6. So.
Well, and I think that would be fair. I mean, if we're talking about a larger, higher resolution screen.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it's gonna get a bunch of panties in, because we always have those like BS conversations on whether or not a device is worth it. It'd be totally worth it if that phone were only $70 and a half a ham sandwich, and then I would buy it. Like the number of times I see that comment, it kind of makes me want to vomit.
Speaking of
voice again, yeah, that voice again.
Do we have the voice again?
At some point, I'll probably pull it back.
So speaking of that, speaking of which, I almost forgot about the 2 devices that launched. Actually, 3 devices launched this week. HTC had its press conference for the HTC I and the HTC Re. And the I is, I'm going to say it out here, it's the perfect camera for a phone for sex tape, because it has a 13 megapixel front-facing camera, 30 megapixel rear camera.
I really was hoping you wouldn't go that route, but yeah.
I'm going to reserve my sexting thumbs up or thumbs down until I get to play with one, because I don't think that the megapixels are are really the determining factor. Maybe having, you know what? No. I'll take that back. Having an LED flash, if you shoot in poor lighting conditions, can
Yes, exactly. See,
like
that's
if you're always shooting like backlit, you know, so the windows are behind you, then you can throw the flash and you can get a nice little sort of cross, you know, fill flash.
yeah, and with dual recording
But
again too. So I'm just saying that
so
it's
that could
perfect.
be really interesting. But I
Yeah.
mean, in seeing some of the first photos out that have been taken, especially the ones without flash, it doesn't seem the camera performance is anything particularly.
No, it's not, because I took some in the video I did, and
right now.
it's not you know, it's one of those things where like I like the idea of what HTC is trying to do, and in terms of spec wise for the Desire line, you know, this thing has the same specs as a high-end phone, so it's covered on that aspect. But for the cameras, like they're like, you know, they're trying to go with this, you know, the mass market 13 megapixel, and in my mind I'm going, where did you find this sensor? You know, did you buy it from Sony or did you buy it from somebody else? Because I'm not exactly
Actually,
sure.
yes, from Sony.
Yeah,
Yeah,
did
actually,
Sony give them?
legitimately is from Sony.
Did Sony give them the cheap ones? Because it just didn't.
Well,
I
and
don't,
you don't fit
Mind
the,
you, we know
front
this isn't a
facing camera
final
with a larger
software.
Sorry,
build, so we should
Mark,
preface
what
it
did you
that. So we should still preference it, even though we've seen it before. This isn't like the final software build. Things could improve by the time the phone actually does reach the market. So, but
that is yeah, true. That's one thing they emphasized, because they were having some software issues. So they said, look, this is not our final. So maybe that's something that will clean up some of that stuff at the end. But I mean, as a device, if it's, you know, especially if it's in that higher end mid range, which is kind of weird to say that price range. It's a solid device. I mean, like, it's a top tier device. Just put it that way, with 13 megapixel cameras built in there. So.
I mean, I think the only thing that I kind of wish HTC would address in terms of their consistency is they've started falling into this really nasty habit of coming out with one feature on one phone, which we never see ever again. And so I'm sitting and I'm watching the Desire release, and all the things that I'm really excited about are things like them building out their social networking prowess, you know, expanding Zoe to more devices, working on their software, so features like that, the better split screening and better face tracking are going to make it into the even down into the M7.
Yeah, it's coming to all these devices. Yeah.
All of that services were what got me really excited. The actual hardware on this phone, I just don't care that much about having a selfie camera, but two, I don't know that they're going to get any developers on board to actually support it. You know, they dropped optical image stabilization from the M7. We've never seen a fingerprint scanner return from the HTC One Max. We have the Duo camera on the M8, which I think they're probably going to walk away from on the M9. And now we've got a front-facing camera on the Desire. You know, there's no consistency there. So if you do like one of these features, there's the very real chance that when it comes time to upgrade your phone, that they're not going to be releasing that feature ever again.
Yeah. No, I definitely agree, especially also with the M8. You know, we asked them questions about it, and, you know, they just preference it as the M8. The ultra pixel camera is more of a for the higher end, and, you know, something completely different, which to me just says that, okay, fine, we tried it didn't work, and we're most likely going to move to something else come next year. But that was one of the devices. The other devices was the HTC Re. Now the Re is, I call it an action camera. They don't want to call it an action camera, but it's a viewfinderless camera, and I like it and I don't. Now this is where I'm going to differ with you, Juan, on pricing. It's $199, and granted, that's the case. I wish it was $150, because it's going to just get lost in that GoPro shuffle for what it is, and the timing of when it's coming out. So the build of the camera is solid. It's water resistant up to a meter for 30 minutes. So at least you can jump into a pool with it and be fine, because they had people recording in pools of water, you know, without actually getting the case. So you know, off the bat, you don't need a case and all that kind of stuff for this device. And you know, in terms of video quality, again, it was like hit and miss. Some looked good, some was kind of off a little bit. So that's, again, comes to that video quality element. What I was disappointed was that camera didn't have OIS. It just had
I don't know that any action cameras have OIS.
Yeah, I know most of them don't, but I was hoping that.
I don't even think that OIS. I mean, one of the reasons why optical image stabilization works like it does is because you're also working with a housing that's sort of designed for the person to be using it in a way.
Sure, okay, that's true, yeah.
Play along. Like, action cameras are sort of built around the idea, like, I've got it bolted to the side of my head. I'm going to be swiveling all over the place. So to compensate, instead of going with focus or with a longer focal range, that's why they're almost always wide angle. So you can actually try this for yourselves at home. Whenever you shoot on like an SLR and you've got a wider angle lens, like say anything wider than an 18mm lens, that the tiny movements in your hands are a little bit better compensated for because you're seeing such a wide field of view. When you go to a zoom, the slightest little twitches that you see are magnified because of that longer focal length. So I think that's really on any action camera probably going to be the only hint of image stabilization until we get better software. And so then I think we can start looking at things like Microsoft's hyperlapse project, where they're actually doing really sophisticated 3D scanning to blur from frame to frame to frame and recreate individual frames.
What's the one that Instagram does now?
No, Instagram has an app called Hyperlapse, and basically all it is a video time lapsing. All it does is speed up little snippets of thing. It doesn't really provide any smoother or any stabilization or any benefit to that type of production. But Microsoft is working, and you can look this up now, and I would really recommend that people do. Microsoft is working on a hyperlapse project where frame by frame it analyzes pieces of the scene, and it kind of works like software-based image stabilization, like your phone does, like on a Samsung. It'll try and jiggle in software. It'll try and jiggle the frame to compensate for your hand movements, but then it creates 3D environments and then blurs from those frames, so it's liquid smooth. I mean, it's the most unnaturally smooth video you've ever seen in your life, coming from a head-mounted action camera, which is shaking all over the place. So until we get those kinds of tools for the consumer space, we're not going to see improvements to GoPro-style photography like that. So I can't tag HTC for the here, but I do agree that, especially for what they're trying to do and the market they're trying to walk into, I don't know that $200 is the right price point, and that's one where I'm not going to get overly nerd fanboy because I'm playing with some incredible cameras that do things like Kodak's new SP360. Yeah. I could do panoramic video off of that. Panoramic video, and for $350 it comes with an incredible accessories kit. So I mean, like that to me is a worth it proposition, and the camera looks like the camera itself is going to be really cool, and I think it's going to be a lot of fun to use, and it looks like it's going to be really easy to use.
Oh yeah, it's very easy. That's one of the best things about it is that it, you basically, there's no on button. You touch it, it basically turns on by just touching.
Yeah.
If you're wearing gloves, you hit the camera button to snap. It takes about a millisecond to turn on, and then it snaps. So basically, it's still the same functionality, and to record is long press. So it's easy use is there. It comes with an 8GB SD card, so at least gives you a micro SD card to use compared to most other companies who you necessarily don't get that much, or you don't get anything at all. So I mean, we'll see how that plays into the market, but I really wish that was at a $150 price point, because my mindset was a $150. By the time holiday comes, is $100. That's when you can just buy it and throw it, because that's what's going to happen no matter what. You can throw it into a stocking stuffer for someone and say, here's
right. 200 makes it not quite an impulse buy.
Right. Yeah, exactly.
We're going to look at that like, well, I got my phone for $200.
Yeah, exactly. Even though your phone is technically $750.
Exactly.
So and I think that's where, and HTC has some time before it launches to actually, get that price down. If I were them, I'll give it a $150. So it was it's interesting that I liked more than the.
I was actually more positive on the than I was on.
Than the what's it called? The Eye. I was going to call it the sex tape camera, but yeah, the Eye. So yeah, that was that. And then Sony had a press event too, which I will talk more about the press event than the device, because the device is nice, except that it's a Xperia Z2 shell. We all know how the Xperia Z3 is super thin.
Yeah.
The Z3V is the exact body and frame of the Z2, and they pack all the specs in, but I'm like, you just call it something else. They even call it the Z3 at all. Just call it the Xperia Verizon.
Well, I don't know. I mean, this is one of those things where, I mean, you want to get my dander up about, is it worth it? And one of the biggest problems I always have is I am willing to pay more for nicer build materials. It's like with the Galaxy Alpha. I have literally, while we've been shooting this, have fielded like 3 comments on my Galaxy Alpha video about, well, it's just the price point's all wrong. It's not worth it for the specs you get, because it's not worth it. And if it were cheaper, it'd be worth it. And you're like, but I want something super, super skinny, and that takes design, and that takes build, and that takes finer materials. Like, I don't want plastic on the edges of my phone. I want metal on the edges of my phone. And so all of those things factoring together means that you have to pay more. It's like when you build a tablet out of plastic, it should cost less than when you build a tablet out of aluminum or injection molded magnesium if they have the same specs. You have to pay more for the better build material. So if the Sony Z3V is cheaper and fatter and using the Z2 shell, then I think that's appropriate.
It's $199.
But it's not.
It's $199. I mean, they'll tell you the price went up because Q&A just got disabled. I don't even know how.
Because reasons, and also the fact that this is probably a deal they had to ink with Verizon, and Verizon probably influenced.
Yeah, and I mean, it's got everything in there. In terms of hardware, it's got everything there. It's got the one cool mode I like in the camera is the multicam mode. That's of course if you and your friends have Xperia Z3Vs, or you know that's the only problem with it. But you know it uses NFC to connect.
This before too.
Yeah, so you go to a concert or a birthday party and you record, and it takes their viewpoint, your viewpoint, stitches everything together for your video.
And that's cool.
I mean, it's nice. I mean, it's got nice features. And one of the things that what I really want to talk about this more was the press event. Sony had this press event, and it really sounded like a Sony press event, not a Sony mobile press event. They talked about one Sony, which I've been dying to hear that for a while, but the execution still is not there. So the idea was like, look, now we're building devices using every division of Sony. It's not about just like, the phone guys who do their own thing. So it's like the camera, the screen comes from, was developed by the guys in the TV division. The sound was from the headphone guys, all these different things. And I'm like, finally, you have all these divisions, Sony. It's about time you start using them to formulate a cohesive network of devices. And, after all that was said and done, it just kind of felt like they still didn't know how to push it to the next level. I mean, the one extra thing they added was that, you now have remote play on your PS Vita. No, sorry, not PS Vita, sorry. Xperia Z3V, so you can use it around the home while your PlayStation 4 is connected, which probably I need to since my PS4 is dead at this point.
That sucks.
Yeah, it just keeps spitting out my discs.
Bummer.
But also, I mean, Sony support for any help. They're just going to be like, go buy a new PS4.
You should want to save up to buy another.
How funny how it changes when you're on top versus being on the bottom.
That is the funniest quote. But I mean, we'll see how it is. But that device is coming out October 23rd, and to me, it's pretty much dead in the water because. That's Note 4 territory, and
here's maybe the one thing I'll throw out there is that I'm happy to see Sony finally working with U.S. carriers again. Seems like they've been off the res for a long time. If you're gonna position your brand around the PS4 and start making this interconnection happen, that means you need to start playing ball with U.S. carriers again, just necessity. So, especially that they're going after Verizon and they have a deal worked out, and there is going to be a Sony phone that you can walk into a Verizon store and see, and it doesn't look like...
The last time that Sony and Verizon worked together, we obviously don't. It did not work out that well.
But, I mean, and I don't think this is going to work out well, and I doubt that this phone is going to sell well because they have to reintroduce themselves to this market. I think a number of things are working against this phone ever being a success. But it's also a step in the right direction that they're picking up the phone and they're making the calls and they're hitting the ground and they're actually going to be in an actual, American carrier store that you can walk in and see one of these things. And that I'll call progress. The rest of it, I think, I'm not particularly super excited about.
Almost anything right now will probably be a progress.
Well, but I mean that's the one thing I can kind of give them a thumbs up for. That's about it.
It doesn't stop. Yeah, it shouldn't stop trying just because it's going to be difficult. But the thing with Sony and like it's taken them this long to figure out it is one Sony.
Yeah, it has, and that's the thing, to me.
Because there hasn't been.
Yeah, it's been a long time. But the cool thing with the press event is that they actually had people from each version of, like, the heads of each section of Sony come and talk about exactly what they brought in. So I was like, okay, this is cool. Like, finally, you're using your heads. You guys make awesome cameras, right? You guys make some really good headsets. They actually do have some good audio stuff. And of course, we all know Sony TVs can be good. So why don't you just bring all that tech in and give us a solid mobile phone? And finally the light bulb went ding. Yeah, it's possible. So hopefully we see more of that and we see more carrier influence. We do know that a Z3 mini compact, sorry, is coming to T-Mobile because T-Mobile confirmed the specs and stuff like that. So it looks like they're still reaching out, and that compact to me is something more I would more appreciate than the Z3.
Oh yeah. No, I mean Z3 Compact has the potential to be one of my favorite phones of the year, especially for those of us who, I mean, while I like playing with flagship phones, I really want a premium, high-end phone in a smaller form factor.
Oh, so that would be interesting. And the last tech news of the week, which actually came earlier this week, is they found some code that hints that Facebook will let you pay your friends through Messenger, which it's about time. They have.
Is it though? Is this something we were all like, oh, this is what I need?
No, not what I need. See, I'm saying this. I say this just because this is my own selfish interest because I own Facebook stock. So it's about time that they use other avenues in creating cash because you have 1 billion customers and you can say there. It may not work. US, it doesn't matter.
You have to get people to want to download the Facebook Messenger app first.
Yeah, they are going to get. It's going to.
It would actually be
the funny thing. No, the funny thing is that now the alpha, right? When I got the alpha, I installed Facebook. I couldn't even use Messenger. It's like you have to download Messenger. So it's already forcing you to do that anyway.
Oh, no, that was.
They've been doing that for a while.
Wow. So basically, people are going to use it anyway. So to me, at this point, eventually, people are going to just have to use it.
Nope.
Nope.
I have a browser on my phone. I will go through the browser every time I see a notification. I will fire up Chrome. Yeah. It will take me forever. And I will instruct the person who is trying to get in touch with me over Messenger that I am easier to reach via any other form of communication than Facebook.
That is fine what you hear in the US.
For payments, I think it's all about the payments now, you're saying, right? The code.
Yeah, mobile payments, yeah.
They do realize they're going up against people like PayPal, right? And PayPal seems to be the de facto when it comes to
Hell, Google couldn't even get this done with Gmail payments.
No, actually, no, but you missed the point. It's not really just about PayPal because think about PayPal is not in a lot of countries. They're not in a lot of places. Okay. And Facebook is. And also, this is actually the closest competitor is like Squarespace with Cash, where you can send cash via email, and it's just linked to you whatever bank account you have. So this is more that than actually PayPal. So I see this as something where a certain amounts will be free. If you go over a certain amount, say like $1,000 or something like that, then they charge you, a percentage fee or whatever the cost may be on there. So if you're talking about PayPal is in not a lot of places. It's in US, Western Europe, maybe Japan. That's it. Like most Chinese businesses that take Alibaba for instance, 90% of those guys don't take PayPal.
Wow, what they use then?
Wire transfer. I kid you not. Yeah, a lot of these guys take wire transfer. Like you wire transfer the money, and then we'll do business. So this is a huge. That's why I say there's a huge market. You can't look at it as just the U.S. alone. It's like there's so many other places where this can be more viable, especially if it's for micropayments and things like that, not necessarily big money transfers. That it would be possible, and it's just basically giving the community more things to use. So.
Well, but the thing that I've always been cranky about with Facebook is I find any business model which is sort of hinged on just trafficking user data to be one where sustainability might be called into question because these things kind of go in and out of fashion. And for a publicly traded company, I feel a lot of the changes that Facebook has been making recently in how they purposely break their social sharing so that you will pay them to fix their social sharing to be near digital extortion, when I kind of feel like Facebook has the opportunity to be the world's largest stock photography site. They could flip a switch tomorrow, start a revenue share program, and any photo that you could ever want to buy is probably been shared on Facebook. And then you also have outreach with the community. And is that going to pay the bills at Facebook? No, but that's another area where they could be generating revenue. So getting into mobile payments, getting into the sort of money share and stuff like that, I think is brilliant. Facebook could flip the switch tomorrow and completely unseat the remnants of Western Union. That's
exactly.
Totally capable. So anytime I see them examining other revenue models other than just trafficking user data, I'm going to say that's cool.
And guess who's heading this division? Former CEO of PayPal. So.
Yeah, okay, that sounds about right.
Yeah. So, I mean, that's why I say I like it, just because it helps diversify their portfolio. Other than that, and if you have a huge world market where, I mean, like, again, like I'm sitting out here, I can't send money to Nigeria without any kind of hassle. That's just it.
Yeah, there are a lot of laws around that.
Yeah, a lot of laws around. But if it's not even just laws, it's just also just banking competence. You remember the whole issue I had with Citibank?
Yeah, but that's also about the laws. There's some countries where it's a lot more difficult to actually trade with or transfer money with, because the U.S. government has this thing when it comes to anti-money laundering. You have to be very careful of who your customer is, where they're coming from, the purpose of them basically depositing money at your bank, and all these other things. So there are a lot of regulations from the Fed around basically just customer information when it comes to international banking transactions. So that plays into it as well. So if Facebook is saying they're going to do something, like it has to be really small transactions.
Yeah, it's going to be microtransactions.
Yeah, so you can't.
Really but again, still, like, if I want to send $200 to a cousin or relatives, I can't just do that unless going to Western Union and paying a certain amount of money. They have to go to Western Union, collect it, and there's a whole mix there. So this will help in a lot of other places other than the U.S. So, it'll be interesting to see how it pans out with the former head of PayPal doing that. But that is pretty much it for tech this week. Anything else we missed before we skip along?
Come on. You want me to talk about Dracula or no?
That's in the entertainment. If you want to talk about Dracula, we saw Dracula Untold, and I saw The Equalizer. Go see The Equalizer. If you haven't seen that movie, go see The Equalizer. Yes, that was good.
That was good.
Yeah,
that was very good.
Yeah,
apparently it was.
I mean, same director as I think Antoine Fuqua. He directed Training Day also, right? If I'm not mistaken. So same director, of course, Denzel. Very good movie, solid movie.
Yeah, I totally forgot. Like, I remember people referencing Man on Fire, and I totally forgot what that movie was about. So I went back and I Googled it, and I'm like, oh yeah, that movie. Yeah.
Yeah, this makes Man on Fire a little tame.
Yeah. Now I really want to see it. After I remembered what Man on Fire was about, I'm like, oh, I want to see this.
Yeah, a little tame, yeah. But Denzel is his very calm self. I mean, it's one of those movies where you see somebody with that kind of skill just being very calm. This is a very dangerous human being. Very dangerous. Kind of people you go, good morning, sir. Do you need anything, sir? Some tea?
What will keep you calm, sir?
Yes.
What will keep you from chasing me down and going to town on me?
Yeah. So that was cool, and then we saw Dracula Untold also this weekend, which was interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah, interesting.
Yeah, it had promise.
It's legendary. Is that part of the new
legendary?
Universal's trying to do their push with all of the old monster IP.
Yeah, so Universal has they want to do a whole shared monster universe. Now, the funny thing about this movie is that this movie was not part of it. They already started doing this stuff like way ahead. And then when they actually signed a deal with the guys from Star Trek who wrote Star Trek movies, they actually went to him and said, what can we add to make this? You can see the addition in the movie. It's not bad. It doesn't actually throw anything away.
There are some pretty awesome moments in the movie. I have to give it that. And
yeah.
I can see where this can turn into a franchise movie with Dracula, but yeah.
It should have been 2 hours instead of an hour 30.
It really should have been. That was something I walked away with. There was a little bit more of a story in there that never really got out. But
so at least I would say for a movie, the fact that you actually wanted it to be longer, it is a positive more than anything else. Because if it's one of those movies, you're like, oh man, this thing should have just stopped at some point.
Should have been a CW episode,
right? Of Vampire Diaries.
Oh wow, Vampire Diaries, man.
Yeah, no, it's good. I mean, Luke Evans does a good job as Dracula. And it. So it was a fun movie to watch. All the same, and then the father from Game of Thrones, what's his name?
I forgot what the actor's real name is.
Oh,
But,
whatever, the Lannister.
yeah.
Tywin Lannister.
Tywin, yeah.
You know, when Tywin Lannister is the one who gives you your powers as Dracula,
Actually, in other words,
you know something's wrong.
the role of Tywin Lannister. He is a succubus.
Yeah,
He's kind of dead though.
you know something's wrong. You know
did.
something's wrong when when a Lannister gives you your powers. You should not take
You
it.
should know that you owe someone something, and you probably do not want to owe that person.
That's the funny thing. As soon as we saw him on screen, we're like, don't do it, don't do it. I don't care. Just run, skip altogether. So I'll be interested. Let me say anything more in entertainment. There was some news that broke out this week that Justice League villain would be Brainiac.
Okay, that makes sense.
Yeah,
Yeah, I'm on board that.
Brainiac will be the villain for Justice League. Not Darkseid will be just.
Was
Justice
he
League
ever
too.
mentioned in the original Superman? Because I don't know what story they're gonna go with. 'Cause
No, Brainiac's symbol was in the movie, and I mean the hint from this one is that basically, again, everything stems from Man of Steel. So you know, as General Zod found Earth because of the beacon that he lit up, so did Brainiac too, and he's coming down to reap the planet as much as he can. I mean, that's all the details they have, but it pretty much would be Brainiac coming down for that. So we'll see, and it's supposedly it's just in line with the Brainiac from remember the old Superman TV show, not TV show, cartoon.
Cartoon where he basically was responsible for the death of Krypton.
Yeah, that one. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So it's going to be kind of in line to that. I'm not sure responsible. It probably was part of their AI system.
All right.
Yeah. So that would be interesting to see, but. That is pretty much it in entertainment, unless there's anything big I missed.
I was just gonna ask, what did you guys think of the Flash pilot?
Oh, I liked it. I was gonna say I've seen it already, but I liked it.
Well, yeah, that's why I'm asking.
Yeah, I did. I enjoyed it. There are gonna be more supervillains. I mean, it's lighthearted. It's also your CW's largest opening at
Really?
5 million viewers.
Yeah, right on.
Wow.
Yeah.
Flash is one of my faves, so
Yeah.
I was really happy with how they executed the Barry Allen story.
I
I was super stoked to see John Wesley Shipp playing
his dad.
father.
Yeah.
Because he, for those who don't know, the dad in the CW Flash is actually the first person to play the Flash on TV.
Yeah. The cool thing about
And also, wasn't there a movie about it? Didn't it start out as a movie?
I think it was just a made-for-TV movie that then got.
Yeah, it was a made-for-TV movie and then became a TV show. The one thing about the Flash is that they are not going to skip out on any of it. It's not like how like with Smallville they were trying to create these weird villains left and right. This one is Captain Cold is coming, Boomerang. I saw images of the Reverse Flash in there too, and I love
the Reverse Flash.
The Reverse Flash is
that a creature on the Desire Eye or something?
Yellow with red lightning, my friend.
No, he doesn't run fast. He just he can slow time, right?
Yep.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
He doesn't actually run. He just slows time.
And they call him Reverse Flash
because he wears the Flash's outfit. I don't know
the reverse of it.
The reverse of it.
Yeah.
He seems like he can run fast, but he's literally slowing time. So anything that he makes.
Was he in the bathroom when they were giving out these super villain names?
hey, DC has some of the most interesting supervillain names. Bizarro, really Bizarro.
Yeah, I mean Bizarro actually makes sense. He's just the complete opposite. Of
He's
Superman.
bizarre, yes.
Yeah.
He is reverse Superman.
Yeah, really. Yeah. Instead of calling Reverse Superman, I prefer Bizarro. Okay, that's actually much better. No, but I like the fact that they have all the Flash rogues in there. In this. Oh, this is the cool news. Yes. So
we've been holding out on all the good news. This is
a real good one.
Arrow season 3, right? Raj Al Ghul is going to be on the show, and guess who? They sent out a message to give the role to was Liam Neeson, and he accepted. He's actually said he wanted to do it, but his filming schedule just would not fit. So he actually retracted from the role and was given to someone else entirely. But that would be interesting to see him on a TV show, especially as the same character. that he played.
It'd been nice to have some continuity there.
Yeah.
But it wasn't the whole idea to remove the continuity between the TV.
No. You see, in DC, their TV world and movie world are two different things.
Yeah, so just to remove the continuity between the both of them, that would have been really confusing if he had done that. I think.
Maybe no. You could just say that TV world is a continuity from all the Dark Knight series.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, that's
Remember
way
that.
less confusing.
I know.
Whole other world that nothing else
World and
existed
movie
but
world are
Batman.
different. Except for this movie world, which is part of the TV world, and that's the same. See, that's super
You see,
easy.
This Batman that happened that everyone liked, that's not part of this real Batman.
See, but you know what? You know what I think they should do though. You have Gotham, right? I think Ra's al Ghul should be the one villain that can connect all the TV shows. Even though Gotham takes place way earlier, Ra's al Ghul doesn't die and doesn't age. Sorry. So whoever plays Ra's al Ghul can show up in Gotham as a villain if they choose to.
And I wonder if there's any weird licensing on that, like in how the Disney Marvel movies, you can't say mutant.
No, with
What?
I'm sorry, what?
What?
Yeah,
Disney
you can't-
Marvel.
Yeah, you can't say
If you notice, they've never said mutant in a Disney Marvel film.
Yeah.
There's always like metahumans or
Why?
superhumans or because Fox
holds the rights to X-Men. Yeah, you can't.
So what? Mutants have existed before the X-Men did.
It doesn't matter.
doesn't matter.
Everything mutant.
Lord.
Basically, Fox said we are buying all mutants.
Yeah,
So we own the
Fox
rights
owns the X-Men franchise, and that's built on
to
mutants.
mutants.
So
Here, the
you
ladies
can't have
are
mutants
definitely
in-
going to be pissed off at this.
Yeah,
Okay.
it doesn't matter. Everything
It's been
is
going on for a while now, Sam. I'm sorry to have just broken the news to you.
I know.
I
I
know.
wasn't aware of this particular caveat. That's crazy. Well, I guess.
Yeah, it's the
would
way
be
it's the way it
irate,
is.
but-
But I think with the Warner Brothers, everything goes. All the shows go through Warner Brothers still, so it really doesn't matter. And Warner Brothers is just
What Marvel would have did.
Warner Brothers just wants they just want their timelines to be correct. So all the ones with the superpowers are all on the same timeline. So Flash and Arrow are going to be having crossovers constantly between the two shows. And then Supergirl is the only one that nobody knows how that is going to fit, because they're saying that her origin is going to be changed. Most likely she was going to be Power Girl more than anything else than Supergirl. In this, so we'll see how that one turns out. And then the other rumor, and now that rumors just pop into my head, is the whole rumor of Spider-Man showing up in a Marvel movie. There's been so much buzz about it for the last 2 weeks.
And he is black, and his name is Miles Morales, and he is played by Childish Gambino.
That's not even gonna happen.
Deal with it.
Just skip it. You can just skip that hope. Just skip. This is the hope. Just go like this. Skip over the hope. Done.
No, I'm not skipping over any hope. There's been enough petition for him to get in the cartoon.
Charlie Glover.
He's
So
got
if-
in the cartoon.
But
If
cartoon is
Spider-Man,
one-
if they're working out the licensing deal, because Spider-Man is underperforming right now, and Sony is probably really nervous about what to do with that property.
Okay, wait. Before you continue, right?
not make it sound.
Technically, it's not underperforming. It just didn't make $1 billion.
No, that's the problem. Is they're
Yeah.
looking at analysts saying this movie should make such
a
and
bit-
such amount of money because it's Spider-Man, and then it
No,
doesn't
but
make
also-
that. The movie is underperforming. It doesn't matter if it turns a profit. It didn't live up to unrealistic analyst expectations, so then the studio gets really nervous about spending hundreds of millions of dollars to make the next film. We've been hearing rumors about them also trying to work out with Fox a crossover with Spider-Man and the X-Men. So if they go to Disney Marvel, I wonder what that would do to a potential.
So the whole thing with that was initially with the first Amazing Spider-Man movie, it was almost there, and it wasn't necessarily Spider-Man, but it was basically the Oscorp Tower will show up in the Avengers movie, and then Avengers Tower will show up in Amazing Spider-Man. That was the initial deal, which was almost there, and last minute just didn't. I don't know why it just didn't pan out, because that was almost like an easy thing to do, just show the towers, right?
Right.
Skip through, and people were like, "Oh my God!" And then that's like, then you can now set it up for something more. But in this one, no one knows exactly what this deal is. Some people are talking about that they may lend Spider-Man over, because the idea is you lend Spider-Man over into say an Avengers movie, or whichever one of, say maybe a Captain America, whatever the case may be, right? Then that does well for the next Spider-Man movie coming out, right? and or Spider-Man may show up as a cameo in a couple of scenes for one of these movies. Who knows?
Now, if they're talking crossover with the Avengers, does that mean that we get Civil War?
That's the thing, because a lot of this talk has been. Some people have been saying, well, it's because Sony, of course, the Spider-Man didn't do well, so they need something to jumpstart it. But there's also been talk about the fact that Marvel has the set plan, and after Avengers 3, after Avengers, there's no Iron Man 4. They have no plans for Iron Man 4 or any fourth version of any of those guys, any of those movies like Thor, Iron Man, and Captain America. So they want to interject other characters completely. And Spider-Man might be that way to bring in Civil War and then do a whole breakup of that whole world.
Well, the nice thing is he's another major character that they can base a lot of other movies on. They used Iron Man in that way to base the rest of the franchises from there. And Spider-Man's one of the big characters they can do that with. It would just be nice if his enemy isn't the Cookie Monster, an electric Cookie Monster. So let's see how. He looks like the electric Cookie Monster. I will forever say that when I saw it on.
It would be hard. It would be hard for them for Marvel to do that because Sony is not giving up the rights to Spider-Man. Forget it. It's not even going to happen at all. But what they want to do is, I think
they keep running business the way they do. They might not have a choice.
That is kind of true. But
they might not have a choice, but to buy it back, it's going to cost Disney
a prohibitive amount of money.
Probably about minimum $5 billion.
Which Disney can make back. Well, what? That's all the money they'll make off.
No. You missed the point. Disney is very stingy. I mean, they are tight with their pockets. That's why every actor. The reason why half the reason why Joaquin Phoenix is not Doctor Strange is because of money. Disney doesn't like to pay. The only reason why, there is no Iron Man 4, half of it is also because they know they're not willing to pay Robert Downey Jr. that kind of money.
And also Robert Downey Jr.'s initial contract and all of that was negotiated back when he was just starting his comeback. So they were probably able to land him even cheaper. In fact, that's probably one of the reasons why Terrence Howard was bumped for him. That's the rumor, anyways, that he was asking for more money than.
Well, that wasn't the rumor. That's what Terrence Howard said.
Well, I think what's in contention is whether or not it was him or his agent.
I was fine with the switch on that, by the way.
But the thing about it is that Disney is they're always very tight on cash. Tight on. They want to make the maximum amount of profit on it, which is why you always see if an actor is up and coming, Disney's after you immediately because they know they can get you for a cheaper amount. Which is why Robert Downey Jr. basically, he actually petitioned for the rest, Captain America and the rest of them to get more money for Avengers 2 because I mean he was making back, but it's like my guys are not. If you're going to do anything, we have to renegotiate. So
it was a very classy move.
So Disney does not like to pay, and even for them to pay for Spider-Man back, like for them they see us like,
You never know. You never know. That's $5 billion. So would it be? That's half the money though. That's half. So they'll lose half the money to make off The Incredibles 2. Boo-hoo to them.
No, dude. Think about it. You drop $5 billion to buy a franchise, right? Then to make a Spider-Man movie,
which I don't think is going to go for $5 billion. I really don't.
It's over $1 billion franchise, and you put valuation on top of that. You're looking at how much money. If you're buying it outright, that means you're looking at how much you're going to make lifetime of this movie. Okay. Then you put in the cost of making the movie. Again, each movie is $250 million. Yeah, you're still not going to make that. You're still going to make that $5 billion like over 3 or 4.
We are talking about the mouse. The mouse will make his money.
Yeah.
The mouse will make his money.
Yeah, why you make him sound so gangster? The mouse.
No, dude, it's going to be a while before he makes that money back. It's going to be a while before he makes it back. It's simple. I mean, let me give you a prime example. How much did they buy Lucas for? $3.7 billion, right?
Something of that nature. Yeah.
Whole company.
The whole
not
company.
One character.
Not one character, right? How many movies are they planning to do already off the bat? They are 3 spin-off movies and episode 1, 2, 3, just so they can cover. This is Disney doing their business. They're going, we will maximize the shit out of this, and they're already talking about re-releasing the whole Star Wars thing again. I mean, that's why I say that they're not a company that just goes and just say like, oh, we'll just drop $5 billion.
Actually, about Star Wars, I heard some pretty awesome stuff. I think there's like a watching kind of chronological watching. So it's going to be Star Wars, the first 2 originals. And then jump back to do episode 1, 2, skip 3, and then no, actually episode 2, 3, skip 1, and then go back to the third one.
Well,
the
You're
why?
talking machete order.
Yeah,
Yeah.
machete order. Pretty cool.
Machete order is the only way that you can watch all 5 Star Wars movies that are.
I love it, all 5.
Because I mean, if you're introducing someone, if you're introducing someone to Star Wars, there's a major twist in the reveal that is ruined if you start in series order. So if you start with episode 1, episode 2, episode 3, then when Luke discovers something important, it's not a reveal. That's not a mystery. And then it also brings up some interesting continuity problems with why C-3PO and R2-D2 don't remember Anakin, but that's a whole other story. So the proper way to watch Star Wars is episode 4, episode 5, then flashback. So now that we know that Vader is Luke's father, we flash back to understand Vader's story, and then you wrap up the entire series with episode 6.
Yeah. No, that is true.
Yes, pretty cool. I wonder how the new ones are gonna play out. Like if it's no longer just it's like a continuation of the original, right?
Yeah, I mean they're taking the storyline from what's his name. Luke has founded another Jedi Academy, and I think his son has gone somewhere. But
one-handed Luke.
But again, with this movie, if you look at the cast members of the new Star Trek movie, everybody is young and cheap. Again, very Disney. The only people that you have to pay money for are Harrison Ford. Literally, that's it.
But they got almost everyone back.
They got everybody back except Lando Calrissian, man. Come on.
Yeah.
There's no.
Yeah,
Lando,
he's been persona non grata for a while, so.
Oh, come on, we need Lando at least one. Just one.
So hopefully they can work out their issues moving in. But I mean, especially after this first one, I'm really excited for the second and third installments of this trilogy, just because Rian Johnson's coming on as director.
Why do they always have to do these as a trilogy? I guess it is a space opera, but damn.
But that's how it's done. Yeah,
trilogy, dude. Don't you know how massive Star Wars is? I mean,
no. That's what I'm saying. It is a space opera, but God, trilogy. Like every single time I'm like, okay, I'm gonna pick up a Star Wars movie. Pick 3 of them up.
Dragon Ball Z, man.
Yeah, you don't just
you have the Anakin saga, then you have the Luke saga, and now they're gonna have some other saga right after that.
Yeah, you don't do one. I mean, come on, you gotta ramp it up and do the whole thing.
I have the whole series, like I have the original series, and the only thing that's been holding me off from like basically doing it is just like watching the whole thing over again. Is like, do I really want to sink what is like the equivalent of 12 hours into watching every single?
No, the only reason why I won't watch it is because the last one with the Ewoks singing, I just didn't like it. I just didn't like. I was like, no. I was like, nah. I stopped.
Doesn't sit well with you.
It doesn't sit well with me.
All right, gentlemen, I have to.
Yeah, that is pretty much it altogether. So.
Oh God, who was playing it?
It was me. Like my Instagram popped up in a video that started playing. But anyway, thank you very much, guys, for joining. Quickly, let's announce the winner of the giveaway. And the winner this week is Derek Blaine. The question was, what would be the plot of Adam Sandler's Netflix series? And his answer was, the plot of the Sandler series on Netflix is a grown-ass man who does everyday things most people do with the mentality of a 6-year-old child, just like all of his movies.
Didn't he already do that exact movie? Didn't he do that exact movie?
No, I think he did it 4 times.
He's done that movie a couple times.
Yeah, he's done that a couple of times. So Derek...
including where the 6-year-old kid was the devil's child.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, that's right, yeah. So
Nicky,
Derek Blaney, you win the SteelSeries Rival mouse, so contact me on... YouTube direct message and give me your shipping info so I can send this to you. This week you get to win a 1-month Hulu Plus pass, so you get a free month of Hulu Plus. So all you have to do is answer a question, which now we are about formulating.
I got one.
Okay, Warren has a question for you.
This is going to be an entertainment question since it's Hulu related.
Okay.
It better be. Yeah.
Name the 4 women that you would want to see in the new Ghostbusters remake they're making.
Thank you for bringing that up because
good point,
yes. So they do the Ghostbuster remake.
That is a very good question.
Well, we don't know if it's going to be. I think it's going to be all women. It might be.
Yeah, but I can get
only 3 of them.
I can guarantee you, I know one
And-
person is gonna be there.
And we'll give you bonus points if you can tell us who the male actor should play the receptionist.
Oh.
Yes. Yeah.
What's on
Oh.
there? So
Just like in the OG Ghostbusters, you had 4 men as Ghostbusters, and then I can't
Yeah,
remember Annie Potts as the receptionist. So now it's what 4 women you would cast as Ghostbusters, and who should play their quirky receptionist.
Okay, quick roundabout. Who's excited about the new Ghostbusters?
I'm actually kind of positive on the idea of them walking away from the original cast. If you know,
They
you
have
can't.
they have to. They have
I
to.
actually am not. I just say don't even touch it.
But that's the thing. This is going to be a new story. This is not going to be a continuation of the original.
No, I know. I'm just.
They're going to do something.
Cameron Diaz is going to be in it. I'm just saying.
No. Anyway.
So anyway, guys, there's no right or wrong answer for this. Really,
I think
there really is no right or wrong answer.
Also from the director of Bridesmaids, and if you
so you can hint.
You can kind of guess who's going to be in this, what type of style of comedy is going to be in this, and where it's going to kind of go.
Yeah.
So I mean, it would be nice. I think it would have been a continuation if they had thought of this sooner, and the Hangover guys were that type of comedy, but they're not that type of comedy, but the Bridesmaid girls kind of are, so I see why they're thinking this way. You know, if you think about it in a sense, but you can't use the Hangover guys for this type of movie.
No, but also, I mean, one of the things that could be kind of cool is if they go back to Dan Aykroyd's original concept that this is sort of like subtly in the future, but ghost busting has become a really commonplace kind of industry. They're just like plumbers or
no. According to the director, they're taking it as like it's nobody believes in ghosts at all.
Yeah.
Oh, so it is like a proper reboot then.
Yeah.
Okay.
What I would like to see them do is, but though keep it in the time that it was in, which was like in the 1980s. Just to reboot it back to the 1980s, keep it in that time period.
Actually, that could be kind of cool too, especially in a world where you didn't have ubiquitous cameras all over the place.
Yeah, I know, right? Yeah, I know. We'll see how it is though. But,
because it wouldn't make sense if everybody has a cell phone and ghost busting and nobody believes in ghosts. It's going to be kind of a little off.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
Then you can't do the commercial and the jingle and the dance and stuff like that. So that's got to happen.
No, you can't do the commercial and jingle. Don't do it. If you're gonna do a refresh,
but they do that in the movie. That's how they advertise it.
You got to do something different. You can't.
We're ready to believe you.
Oh, that song's gonna be in there. Oh, that song's gonna be so in that movie.
See,
in the news are gonna go right to the bank again.
Which is why I actually don't want it to be remade. I'd rather you just, if you're gonna revamp it, just completely gut it.
Anyway, we can. But anyway, that's your question. And we will pick our favorite reply out of who nails the cast on the potential Ghostbusters movie coming out.
You don't have to
win a free month of Hulu Plus.
It doesn't have to be believable. It has to be fun. Come on.
Yeah. Okay, true. So that's pretty much it, guys. Thank you very much. Don't forget to subscribe to all our channels. We have Mr. Juan Bagnell from Some Gadget Guy.
Yeah, you do.
Quickly, Juan, tell us what can we expect from you next week in terms of contents.
Wrapping up a couple Bluetooth speaker docks, and then for all of my peeps out here in LA, Samsung is bringing the DSLR Day to Hollywood. So on Tuesday, I'm going to be rolling down to get rid of my old Canon Rebel to hopefully score a new camera. So if anyone's out here on the West Coast, they want to try and meet up, maybe grab some coffee or try and get a brand new camera, I'll be down at Hollywood and Highland Tuesday morning.
Yeah, what time? 10 a.m., right? 10 or 11.
The official ditch starts at 10 a.m., but I'll probably be there earlier just because I don't know that they'll have as much gear as they did for the New York event.
Okay. All right. How about you, Sam? You can check him out, @BlackIron_man on Twitter, and also check my board of work. What can we expect from you next week, buddy?
Next week, yes, docking station for the Surface Pro 3. Yes, that's definitely on the dockets. And what else? We've done everything else, really. Oh yes, a headset. We have the wireless headset from Turtle Beach that we're going to be showcasing. So yeah, we got those two on the pipelines.
All right, cool. And how about you, Mr. Warren Bowman from BW1? Check him out at I was supposed to check him out WarrenBowman.com. I
do own that domain.
Yeah, okay, so you can check out WarrenBowman.com, but also BW1.com, Twitter and Instagram. What can we expect from you next week?
Stuff.
Okay.
Warren Bowman.
Stuff from WarrenBowman.com. Spec stuff. And yeah, it's me, Thundy Board at Work. For some reason, my lower third disappeared when it was up. Just follow me on Board at Work on YouTube and Twitter. From me, next week, I'm getting the OLED TV from
LG.
LG. Yeah, thank you very much, LG. So definitely check that out. We did a comparison video with Samsung, and I was getting some very, I don't know, foolish comments. I'll call it that, just because people are like, it's not believable. I mean, it's OLED. It's pure black compared to not pure black. Just take it as it is. Anyway, so
No, you're wrong, because I talked to some other person who had a plasma TV, and they said that it was different than LED.
Plasma
so
TV is
you're
dead.
wrong.
Well,
Is
I've
what
seen
you
black, and black is not as black as
did.
black seems, so
And
it can never be that.
So because the light diffraction on the glass is 0.3 microns wavelengths, so there, up your nose.
And don't forget the angles of inflection cannot be precisely
Well, and
calculated.
I think you guys are really
different screens from
underestimating the
same
Doppler
angle.
effect. The Doppler effect is going to play a tremendous role in the
yes. So next week I will have that, and then
I need to troll your videos more. I need
Yeah, I
to
know.
start leaving all kinds of random ass comments.
and then
We need to do troll, but we should do we should do something called Troll Patrol. Just go around trolling our
Troll
videos.
Patrol.
That's
Trolling our-
that is a 24-hour job. That'd be like that'd be like a marathon of cops.
No. You know what we should do? We should do the Troll Patrol show. That's what it is. Just dedicated to trolling.
No, great idea. Okay, you take your take your one troll of the week, right, on one of your videos, and
each
basically
person's video,
take,
and
yeah,
we troll it. We just troll it to death.
exactly. Take whoever
this week-
trolls it the best, or take one commenter and just take that idea and just run with it.
Exactly.
See how far we can go with it. Okay, but that's a crazy show. But
Yeah, but anyway, guys, take a look at that. We'll have that next week, and we'll have some headphones from Turtle Beach also next week. So that is pretty much it, guys. Thank you very much. Again, the giveaway is a 1-month Hulu Plus subscription, and the question is, can you name the 4 female cast members of the new Ghostbusters all-female-centric movie? And bonus points if you mention who will be the male receptionist. So that's it, guys. Thank you very much. Subscribe to all our channels, and always enjoy your entertainment. Bam.